It's like the whole game plan is already planned out before the game starts, and then of course they adapt if things go wrong. It's not like, okay, we have this 5-step plan. Oh, step 2 went wrong, so we lost. You know, they always have a backup. But
I mean, the last fight as well,
very textbook.
They weren't 5 at the base. That was also another point. Like Gyro was TPing. He was TPing at the tier 2 of the enemy in top lane. Zai came in, cancelled the TP with a vacuum, and he was running all the way back to base. And I think there was a ward on the jungle, the cliff, that spotted him out, and they were able to actually pick him off. Like S4 just started out with the Hex and the Weave, the Medallion.
Yeah.
Even if he was able to pop his BKB at the end, but it was just too much minus armor, and there was -1 from before the fight even starts. So LGD was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, good point. Now, there is a lot more to talk about, of course, also going into Game 2. But before we go there, we had a bit of a shocking update from one of our other games, of course. IG versus C9. A lot of people jokingly assuming, like, oh, this match going to go forever. It has the potential to maybe even mark a history and longest game of TI. But relatively quick match. Winter, maybe possibly the quickest match we've had so far this TI.
Yeah, it ended at 25 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah, that's not a timer we were expecting from either of those teams. Also, some other interesting stats from this one, right? We were looking at a couple yesterday. One thing that I think some people are finding very interesting is the stat of Ember Spirit so far at TI5. Until yesterday's last game with EG, we had Ember Spirits being played by Chinese team going 7-0, and Ember Spirits being played by non-Chinese teams going 0-8. EG broke that by winning their one game, so it was 1-8. But then here, IG loses with Ember Spirits, so now we have that stat also flipped off, where it is going, or turned off, where it is going to be the Chinese teams now only 7-1 with 1 loss as Ember Spirit, and also getting shut out 16-0. No kills by IG. We caught some glimpses of that. Ben, I mean, how did that happen?
It's actually a very similar strategy that they used yesterday. They had like the Whiffs gyro pressuring a lot of areas of the map. And, I mean, it was just dominating from start to finish.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look at the game here between IG and C9. This was their Game 1. Game 2 going underway right now between these two teams.
They overcommitted on the gyro a lot and underestimated the Wisp. And you guys talked about two teams that you really don't want to give Wisp to, and Cloud9 is certainly one of them. They just overcommitted and then they gave up like 2 or 3 kills in return without killing the gyro confident. That just happened, 2 or 3 too many times at the start of the game. On top of that, we have Vada's Beastmaster, a classic hero matchup for him, and he is just really good about playing with the vision, with the hawk moving around the map and getting things done.
There's also one point about C9's draft. It was the first game someone ever picked Lich, and it was a really good situation to actually have that hero. Frost Armor was really good with against what IG had. They had Razor, Ember Spirit, a lot of physical damage between the two cores. So I felt the Lich pick there not only strengthened the Clockwork, because Clockwork had a good laning phase because there was a Lich with him, it also fortifies the whole lineup against what IG had.
Yeah, so pretty surprising Game 1 from both teams, but props to C9, of course, taking that lead. Now, they are 1-0, but the match isn't over yet. And speaking of that, of course, we do have, again, a lot of players. We've been learning about a lot of our players here, and some facts that maybe we didn't even know of. A lot of the community now finding out more about their favorite players here at TI5. We have a little bit more insight into Ferrari from IG as they go into game number 2 versus C9.
第一次见430的时候，就觉得这个人有点疯狂吧，每天都在打，就是他也没玩别的，就一直在练，一直在打。
我觉得430他首先对自己从来不会降低要求，他不会乱看网页什么的，就是
我觉得 IG 最强的地方在于我们能适应所有的战术，因为 基本上所有的英雄我们都会去用，都会去尝试所有的套路，我们都可以去复制它，然后去学习它。
我觉得430，这5年一直在 IG 打，是我挺佩服的吧，因为很多职业选手都是这么多年就是一直保持一个很好的竞技状态吧。
第一个反应就是他是一个挺大胆的人，比较刚，然后当然这和他技术高有关吧。 艺高人胆大，但是他绝对是一个不怂的人，在游戏。
感觉时间过得特别快吧，感觉 TI1、TI2仿佛都在昨天一样，一下突然就到 TI5了，感觉时间过了，还没有反应过来，时间已经过去了。
IG 和他之间已经有一种特殊的感情了。
我们人员一直在变动嘛，就是 但是430从来没有离开过 IG 也确实很需要。
IG 在我心中可能就代表了 Dota 吧，因为我一直在这个队伍当中。一起最难忘的经历当然是 TI 夺冠。我相信所有的人、所有的队伍，如果 TI 能夺冠，这都是他们最深刻的经历。
兄弟啊，这个 TI 是打一届少一届，希望我们今年能够打漂亮一点，然后继续一起并肩作战吧。这样。
All right, so a little bit more insight into Ferrari, of course. I mean, very admirable, as you know, even his teammates were saying, just that he's been with IG for this long, and that last line, definitely a little bit of feels there, just saying, hey, TI's come and go, but we're going to fight even better this year at TI5. Ferrari looking for another shot at that TI championship. Would love to talk more about that, but our draft is starting. Things are moving fast here on day 3. By the way, if you're more interested in watching that IG game, definitely head over to Stream 2. You'll be able to catch IG versus C9 Game 2. Right now, we're going to draft of Game 2 of our matchup, Secret versus LGD. But before we go there, I'm full of updates this morning. We've got another record breaker in the game, Navi versus Fnatic on Stream 3. Navi did win. They're up 1-0, but Dendi went 20-0 on Queen of Pain, the highest kills we've had on a Queen of Pain in all TIs. So Dendi setting some records as we kick off the second half of the group stage.
And that's definitely also the highest kill count we've had on any hero this TI.
Yes.
No one's been close
20,
to that.
I think so. 20-0 sounds
been
pretty dominating.
Beyond Godlikes, but I think it's about 13, 14 kills or something.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's pretty crazy. Again, so if you want to watch that matchup, sounds like there's a lot of blood being spilled there. That's on Stream 3, but right now, LGD versus Team Secret. We're here to check out if LGD can bring it back in Game 2. As everyone's been agreeing, I mean, it doesn't look like the draft was much of an issue, but look at this. Lesh getting through, and LGD happy to pick that right up.
And the draft is going super fast. I was looking over what feels like 20 seconds ago, and they were about to pick the first hero. So the teams just know what they want in the first phase. LGD with the first overall pick, I think. They grabbed Lesh. And there was the Gyro Quap trade-off for Secret. So, correct me if I'm wrong, LGD had overall first pick last game, right? So it's the exact same sides and pick order.
Yes, looks like it actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Last game they first picked the. What was it?
What did they?
They traded.
They took
They
the
traded Gyro for Queen of Pain SF.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. And this time they trade Lesh for Queen of
And they did ban the
Queen of Pain Gyro.
SF.
Yeah.
All right. And earlier Bane ban from Team Secret this time.
Yeah, Secret prefer Radiant. I think if they could choose pick or side, they almost always choose Radiant as opposed to most teams which choose side first, or sorry, pick first. So, not exactly sure why. I think some people say like the off lane's a little bit easier, or they utilize the jungle a little bit easier, but the stats have been proving that Secret just generally prefer Radiant by a large margin.
I think the main draw for Dire in the past was the easier access to Roshan, where they still have like a slight advantage, but it's not that big anymore. Whereas Radiant, like you said, easier off lane. I think to an extent it's also
Better mid as well.
The mid lane is better too. You have access to the camp. It's really good for farm efficient mid laners like
Right.
Secret like to run.
Okay.
And in addition to that, it also seems that when it comes to the safe lane, it's in a way it's easier to control the area generally on the Radiant than on Dire, where it can get a little bit more chaotic with the entrance points to an extent.
All right. So some solid reasons. Rubik being banned out by LGD, and of course the Brood being banned out just a moment ago.
Yeah, they're just taking out what they feel Secret is best at. So they're not allowing Secret to go for their comfort picks, and let's see what Secret has for their replacement picks for those heroes.
Yeah, again, I mean, sure, LGD can't 2-0 anymore, but if they can at least tie, then you still leave it open-ended for the rest of both teams' matches to say, hey, let's fight for first and second seed still in Group A. The hopes are still alive there for LGD. If Secret takes it 2-0, though, that's quite a different story. And then an SD ban coming out from Secret.
Interesting. They're taking away a good Lashrock partner, but we mostly see that when you want to pick anti-mage, but of course in this case Secret doesn't have the luxury to do that anymore since they have Gyro.
Doesn't it lend more likelihood that they're going to run Leshrac as a support or Secret thinks that they're going to run Leshrac as a support?
I mean,
if they ban
possibly
Leshrac,
as well.
Yeah.
Then the Earthshaker towards the off lane role, like what they did in the first game.
Yeah, they actually banned both left setups.
I think Clockwork could also be good for Secret here against
Yeah, definitely.
Lash and Shaker. Like, Clock seems to be a pick where it's generally good against a lot of the heroes in the current.
Right.
Like we talk about this a lot. Like, oh, Clockwork could be good. Yeah, Clockwork. Could be
I've
good.
been hearing that a lot from you guys. Every time we see her, but well, Clock can play well against this hero. Got that list going.
I mean, in general, Clock decent in lane. It's good in lane. Like you get experience and very good at like trading your life with someone important.
It is very, very good here. I completely agree with that pick. I think it's the best hero they could pick right now. The downside and the reason Secret might have been contemplating whether it was now they should pick it was, okay, do we think LGD will play Shaker as a core, because in that case they won't pick Clock, and now LGD see all 3 cores, so now they know the remaining 2 picks have to be supports, and they can start targeting both their picks and their remaining ban at the fact that Secret will have to grab those 2.
Okay.
We might see a Witch Doctor again, perhaps, actually, for Kuro here. It's not...
There's still Dazzle though.
Dazzle is definitely a good
Yeah, I mean,
pick as well.
we've seen so many games where Dazzle plus Gyro is together is a recipe for success. You grave him and the Weave as well. Everyone gets reduction in armor on the enemy team. Then the Flat Cannon just does a lot of work after that.
I think the Dazzle is also very good for LGD. To keep the Leshrac safe, who is definitely going to be the target of Secret with this Clockwork pick. Like, they want to hookshot in and blow him up with Blade Mail and Queen of Pain's Burst. So, if nothing else, if you have a Dazzle to protect the Lesh against the Clock, you will most likely at least trade those 2 for each other in the fight, instead of just getting your
Hashtag
Lesh.
worth it if that happens.
Yeah, it's still worth it for Secret, but it sets up for a potential fight.
So LGD running through all of their time.
I think they're thinking whether they want to go back towards the IO again, possibly. Oh, okay, they're gonna go for the Dazzle instead this time around. So no IO this game for LGD, but more of a defensive supports to keep their cores alive.
I mean, technically they could still get IO if they want, but
I mean,
that might be
they if they could, but their lineup is gonna be a little like they have very little control within the supports. There's no stuns.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. So they can't play aggressive. They have to be relying on getting levels on both, especially the Wiz to level 6 before they can actually be more aggressive. And we've seen that happen before to the teams where if you just let Secret do their thing and you just sit back, things are always not going to be good after that.
Yeah, they really don't have good control for the Clockwork right now. I mean, I think that LGD had a lot of trouble in the laning phase last game, shutting down the Shadow Fiend, shutting down the Darkseer, and I mean, Secret did kind of shore up their defenses by having the supports not in the safe lane, which is one of the reasons why I think giving Secret Queen of Pain is very difficult, just because you not only do you lose that lane, you lose the other lane just because they can leave Queen of Pain alone.
Right.
So I thought that they might try and concentrate more on the laning phase this game. Leshrac is really good, but Dazzle's a much more defensive support. Can't really gank mid for Leshrac. Can't really zone out the Clockwork terribly well.
Okay. Enchantress coming out for Secret. What do you make of that?
It's similar to what they did earlier. I think they ran a Chen versus a Leshrac in the mid lane, and it's an underhanded matchup for the Leshrac. I forgot which team exactly ran it, but I'm pretty sure it was Secret, and they just constantly gank the Leshrac. And Dazzle can only do so much. You can only grave once in a while, and it's a very short range, and oftentimes with a very dominant mid like Queen of Pain, you want to be able to kill that mid, or else you're wasting so much of the potential of the hero, and often you can get 2 kills on that.
And if you look at their lineup and you think about how the early game is going to pan out, Enchantress is going to be looking to gank, and Dazzle, you're going to be holding a teleport scroll. Like, anytime middle is in trouble, you want to TP